videos where you have an officer basically they don't have ID, they can't get into a hotel room.
To get them the help they need, especially if someone even gets arrested. A lot of people don't know how the justice system works.
But I want someone to actually know them and know that it's legit. 30 years. I started out as an investor first.
I would, in general, be wary of the storefront psychic.
Have more powers.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hey everybody, this is David Kohlmeyer, the Problem Solver. Thanks so much for joining us today. Every single week on Thursday, 6 p.m., we are going live here in Las Vegas at the Sticky Paws studio. Every week, bringing on amazing people, learning about different programs, people's backgrounds, expertise, and getting some information on how we can solve different problems in our community and within ourselves. Today, I have some great co-hosts. Today, I have the first time as a co-host, I have Victor from Universal Motorcars. Thanks, Victor, for coming today.
Hey, thank you for inviting me.
Ooh, hey, Victor, welcome.
Victor's getting a lot of publicity on TV these days, so he's all over, but he has not been on the Problem Solver as of yet.
It's my first time.
We're making history today. Gentille, our other beautiful co-host, thanks, Gentille, for joining us as usual.
Of course, your pleasure.
Gentille's always bringing some laughter to the Problem Solver. She's our she does the comedy hour. She does tips.
Vagina monologues.
She does all kinds of different things. It's Vegas. She's the Vegas performer of the Problem Solver show. So we always appreciate Gentille's making us laugh all day long. Today we have a special guest who is Asia Duncan, who is the director of Local for All. And then it's, wait, how would you say that? With Cupcake Girls?
It's a project by the Cupcake
Project
Girls.
by the Cupcake Girls.
Yes.
So, okay. So it gets a little confusing. And I was saying before you got on the show, like a lot of people don't know about Cupcake Girls. Some do. Some people think we're having cupcakes with, just donuts and stuff like that. People are in show. But tell us a little bit about yourself, Asia. Where are you from originally?
Well, to lend to your point, we're definitely having cupcakes. So there is some backstory to the Cupcake Girls, which I would love to share. But originally born and raised in a small town in New York along the Hudson. And then I lived in California for over probably about 12 years. And I've been in Vegas for about 9 years.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What part of the Hudson?
Ossining.
Okay, I know that.
Yeah.
So I was a police officer in New York City. And then for 9 months, right before, I guess during 9/11, I was an MTA police officer where I used to do the Metro North line that would go upstate, which would pass. I don't know if the Ossining is even a exit off the railroad.
Yeah, we are off the
Metro North.
We are off the Metro North. There's a lot of stops, but we're in the Westchester area, so it's really close to the city.
Isn't there like a major prison that's there?
Yeah, Sing Sing.
Sing Sing, right?
Sing
That's where Gentille needs to go.
That's like the maximum.
That's the major.
I love prisons and prisoners. They're amazing.
We always have a lot. we always have a lot of people that have, Gentille's like, we need to bring people on that have been incarcerated. We want to make changes with them.
Right. Yeah, we've had a lot, and it's not me. Okay, he brings them.
She wants to start dating a lot of the people in jails. Sing Sing would be a good one for her.
Whatever, dude.
It's like a
maximum.
It's like a long distance.
I think he just wants to see me gang raped or something. I don't know. Fucking nasty.
So,
Kohlmeyer.
So long story short, we're passing. So Hudson, it's a beautiful area along the whole Hudson, and especially from Manhattan. So tell us a little bit about, first of all, Cupcake Girls in general. What?
Absolutely.
It's a nonprofit, right?
It's a nonprofit organization. So we've been around. We just celebrated 12-year anniversary. So they've been around for 12 years, providing prevention and aftercare for survivors of sex trafficking, as well as a space for folks in the adult entertainment industry to find resources, relationship, and respect. So they've been doing some awesome work. And if I may tell the story, the backstory to the cupcakes is the outreach is they would go into brothels and strip clubs with cupcakes, just asking girls, are you okay? Do you need anything? And that's how the organization started. And we still do that outreach to this day. So.
Oh my God. Honestly, I thought it was a cupcake company.
No.
I swear to God.
We do have our own cupcake recipe though, and it's vegan.
Oh wow.
I was saying, where is the store where we can go buy cupcakes?
Right?
Yeah. It's a safe, non-judgmental space for folks to find to seek self-determination and self-empowerment, who have been who have experienced anything from domestic violence, sexual assault, a lot of host of things. But we provide several resources from advocacy to mentorship to referral services to mental health services to, we really meet people where they are and walk with them in that journey and what that looks like.
Wow, that's amazing.
How did it play out, I guess, originally? Do you know the story where, was it one person that was on that mission to help people and they were bringing cupcakes just to make the, to build a relationship? Like, hey, is that's how it went down? Or who's the original?
So I wasn't here when the Cupcake Girls started, so I'm actually fairly new to the organization, and we'll talk about that later in terms of how the organization is growing. And Local for All is what I was hired to grow and expand, which is going to expand our programs. So originally, right now, our executive director is Amy Merrill. So originally, shout out to Amy, she's amazing. And she's been with the Cupcake Girls for 11 years. We have a branch here in Las Vegas where we started. This is home. And we also have a branch in Southwest Washington, Oregon. And Vegas is top, I think we're number 2 next to Houston for sex trafficking. So in terms of being able to find folks safe spaces and resources, we've been we've spent time and occupied the space for quite some time.
Do you have a lot of people that call you guys? A lot of women?
Yeah.
Okay.
We have a lot of folks who are program participants. And we actually have folks on our waiting list who are program participants. It's a big thing. Think about COVID. They shut down strip clubs. They shut down brothels. This population that's already vulnerable became even more vulnerable without a source of income, right? And then, when you get into trafficking, that's a whole nother thing because sex trafficking and sex work is 2 different things. However, that was another situation when vulnerable people individuals don't have resources and they're being oppressed and they're vulnerable to trafficking.
And what exactly do you guys do for them?
So, everything from advocacy, legal, record sealing. We do crisis management in terms of I can't go over all the details of how we go over crisis management, but because I'm not the program director, but I know that specifically, if you call and you're in need of assistance, we can help.
Do you place them also in homes or?
So a lot of our services have recently been, not recently, but overall has been in the form of a lot of grants and referral services because, for example, we just got a HUD grant for $395,000. That'll be able to help with rental assistance in homes. But a lot of that we have to pay for, right? So, we don't have homes that the organization owns itself to where we could say, hey, this is the Safe Home, but we partner with organizations like Safe House and the Shade Tree and those type of establishments. And then if it's a real emergency situation, we've even gone as far as gotten folks rooms for a night or 2, at hotels to make sure that they're okay.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, because you want to pull them out of that situation, right?
Everybody's not the same. So we're not a rescue organization, but we meet people where they are. So it really is specific to the individual. So we don't go in saying, hey, we're going to save you or, tell us where your pimp is. That's not what the Cupcake Girls does. But if you call us in need of services, you tell us what you need and we will make resources or bridge the relationship or connect you to our referrals, one of our referral partners that we've vetted out to make sure that you're okay.
Okay.
And then we follow you through that process. So we don't just place you there and never tap in. Yeah, forget about you. You're assigned a case manager. Okay. We follow up with you. That day it might have been housing. The next day it might be mental health. There's therapies. We do art therapy, music therapy. We even do sound therapy and trauma. I think it's called trauma-informed yoga. Okay. So things like that.
Oh, wow.
Is the cupcake strategy still currently used?
Yeah.
Or it is?
It is still used.
So give us an example of in Las Vegas, is someone going into a strip club or with cupcakes?
Yes, and that's actually, they named us is what I was told. They named us. So they were like, oh, those are the Cupcake Girls over there. And they just stuck, And yes, we still do that outreach. And it's funny because me being so new to the organization, when I go places and tell people I work for the Cupcake Girls, even some of my friends now who are real estate agents, dynamite moms, they're doing other things, but they're like, oh, I remember the Cupcake Girls when I was dancing or when I was in school or when I was doing that. They tell me stories and I'm like, I didn't even know you danced before. So
what's weird though with these different strip clubs and places in Las Vegas, I'm surprised that these businesses or owners would allow you to go inside because they're knowing that you're basically trying to help and so on. Like, have there been problems where people are not wanting to allow you to go inside? I'm assuming if you're going inside with some cupcakes, right, that they know that you're there for some type of intervention.
Well, we're not there for intervention, though. We're there for support. And we're not there to tell people what to do with their lives. If there's people there who want to stay working in the sex industry, we don't say leave the sex industry, but the sex industry doesn't offer medical services. If you have a situation with a client, your job doesn't offer medical assistance, Plan Bs, condoms, Narcan, fentanyl test strips, feminine hygiene products, mental health services, a place to... Sometimes you have a good day at work, sometimes you have a bad day at work. Where do you get that type of, how do you handle those situations without becoming a, traumatized individual over time, right?
But the owners of the establishment know who you guys are, obviously, right? And,
yeah.
Okay, and they allow you in.
Amy always likes to say, pimps know who I am.
Do they usually support you guys or?
So in terms of support, we receive a lot of support from the community. I can't attest to like negative feedback. I can only attest to the great things that I've heard in terms of what our outreach program is doing and what our volunteers do and what our program director does. And she hasn't shared with me any stories like, oh, they told us to leave, because we're not saying leave, come home. We're not trying to take the girls. We're just like, hey, if you need anything, let us know. What does your job not provide that we can provide? You know what I mean? The days you can't go to work, there's no sick time and there's no paid time off. You know what I'm saying? So we meet individuals where they are. We help them find resources, relationship, and respect. This is an entire industry of a vulnerable population, and sometimes those are substance abuse issues, right? Yeah. Sometimes those are career transitions, right? But they're not always that. So I don't want to give the stigma that we're like trying to take girls out of nightclubs and all that. That's not what we're trying to do.
I would just think like what Victor's saying is that that if I had a bit, I'm just thinking, I'm actually a retired police officer, but if that you came into the strip club that I am owning, I'm thinking that you're going to disrupt the girls that are working there, and basically cause more problems and issues. So it's interesting that you don't have problems going in. I mean, I'm not sure if, I guess eventually when you establish a relationship, you're saying, hey, I'm just trying to provide some type of services. We're not looking for these people to leave, but just to be a friend and create relationships, right?
Yeah, I mean, when you go into a bathroom and people are in the bathroom servicing the bathroom, right? They provide you stuff in the bathroom, right? They sell gum and different things. When you go in a strip club, there's usually a woman in the nightclub that's like the mom or of the strip
house mom.
House mom, and you know what I'm saying? So in terms, like, we're just support and resource. We're not like telling anybody anything, but I think that there is a silent understanding that some of these individuals might actually need help with different things. And you know what I mean? So I haven't had those situations. Like, I would love it if, like, even if Amy would, like, that would be a question that I would ask her, like, how many times have you actually been, kicked out? Because it's not like, when you're talking about trafficking and, and saving somebody in a trafficking situation, then, if you're taking money out of that person's mouth because you're pulling her away from her folks, right? That's something different. In a strip club situation, this person has a legal sex card to work. She chose that. You know what I mean? She chose to do this line of work. It's legal in our state. And if she wants to stay in that work, then we're not here to judge her or tell her not to work or not to do this and that with her body. That's her choice, right? The brothels, everything is legal about what she's doing. But there are wraparound services that your employer is not providing. And we have filled that gap. You know what I mean? We've been able to do that.
See, Dave, when you were moonlighting once upon a time, right after being a cop, you could have used their services. Medical insurance.
I just couldn't imagine actually, the nonprofit. I think it's just, I guess over time create a relationship and a name that you guys are not disrupting, services.
Yeah, we're not disrupting. We're not coming during the busiest time with cupcakes, and you got guys in there that's like throwing up hundreds and thousands. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. We're very strategic about the outreach.
Gentille, I think you should go with them and to experience helping in this fantastic nonprofit.
I hope. Yeah, I would. I would definitely. I know my way around a strip club very well.
She's very familiar. She after this podcast is over, maybe you could provide some services for Gentille.
I need it, dealing with him once a week.
But you know what's interesting? You make me think of something. There's another program that I've been involved in that was called Shine a Light. And what they do is, you familiar with them? They go into the tunnels. And I was interesting because I went one time and they walk around, they say, in the tunnels, they'll say, shine a light, and they basically create relationships while they're walking through the tunnels and meeting different people. So when people are ready and they want services or they want to get out of being in the tunnels and stuff like that, they reach out to them. But I thought it was very interesting. Just people would know that when they're walking through the tunnels, not to scare them, so they say shine a light. So I guess it's the same concept with the cupcakes and walking around. You're just creating relationships when people are ready and they want services, they want some help. That you guys are out there, which is great, and especially Vegas is. You know, a lot of times we forget what takes place in Vegas and other cities. The truth is, crime can happen anywhere. You know, in every city, we're from different countries as well. Things happen all over the place. But it does concern me. I mean, I have 2 girls that are young in general, and being in such a town, some people say, why would you want to move to Las Vegas? I think it's a great city, but like in any city, I would say, you know, if you want to go buy drugs, you can buy drugs in any city that you want. And there's trafficking all over, but it's just scaring me when you have women in general, my kids, you know, and then as they get older, you just don't know. And I think things are getting a little bit more crazy. You know, these days we had someone who was part of a major gang, and he was saying human trafficking is such a big deal, especially by the border states. He was on the show last week, and it just definitely concerns me, even with putting tracking devices on my own kids, right? Because you just don't know. It makes me nervous. I even talk about tracking devices, which I don't even know if it's out there, but like putting something in someone's skin, like if you're in the military, supposedly there's like molars and stuff like that, like soldiers have, that you can have GPS tracking devices on people. But, you know, it just makes me nervous, you know?
Yeah, I think just living in this city, like there's definitely a heightened sense of like alert, you know what I mean? But then there's also like a lot of fear. And I think that leans into the reason why there needs to be destigmatization around it, because we live in a city where they actually legalize it and profit off of it, you know what I mean? And then they forget about the folks that are actually doing the work. Right. So in terms of what that looks like by no means am I advertising for, you know, youth, but we want just to talk about it, like a huge portion of our program participants are youth fostered out of group homes and group homes and foster care system. Right. So that's a very vulnerable population of individuals that are very vulnerable to trafficking. You know what I'm saying? It's less of, you know, your children that are going to school, you're present in their life, you're showing up. Right. This is not a taken story. You know what I'm saying? These are stories of individuals who don't have social justice, economic justice, support. They're coming out of, you know, poverty or group home or foster care systems, right? They're immigrants, you know, and if you go on the human trafficking, they could be au pairs or live-in housekeepers. You know what I mean? So trafficking is something that doesn't, you know, a lot of education needs to go around trafficking, just like a lot of education needs to go around like sex education, right? Consent, right? Those conversations about, you know, just sexuality, period, so that you're not exploring these things on your own when your mind is so impressionable and young and you don't understand what you're taking in. You know, this city definitely, you know, is one that should spend time doing that, considering we spend time filling all those senses. You know what I mean?
Right. It's interesting when you go to the airport. I always remember I was in JFK Airport, and like every stall inside the bathroom says, like, if you're trafficking, call this number. But I always think about it, like the number is like so long. It's like so hard to remember.
It's really long, yeah.
And like,
and who's gonna have? Well, I mean, I guess
the problem is it's not like if you don't have a phone, there's no pay phones anymore, right? Like, where are they gonna call, right?
Listen,
like, it just does. It seems like a little bit like off, you know?
Definitely.
Especially like JFK, like international airport, right? People come from another country. Well, who are you going to call if you don't have a phone? If someone takes your phone, there's no more pay phones.
And you're talking about trust, right? People will go to you with their trauma or their crisis or their situation if they trust you, if they trust that you're going to handle them with care. That's why this is a big issue, because even when you're dealing with sexual assault or rape, women who are in that industry or already that nightlife or that adult entertainment industry are less likely to report a sexual assault or a rape because they feel a certain type of way because this is their industry. So it's almost like you deserve it. But you don't. You're a human being. You deserve to be treated with dignity and respect. And if that was an assault, you deserve to report it, just as someone who is a mom. Why does she get preferential treatment, right? So in terms of like when we talk about cupcakes, like food is always that like universal love language where you can break bread with someone and have a conversation and really find out what's going on and peel back the layers of the onion. It might not be today. It might not be tomorrow. It just might be when you're not thinking about her and she's not thinking about me and she's like, actually, let me call these folks. You know what I mean? I need to get out of this. I need somewhere to go. I need to get a plane ticket home. I can't take this. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's that. And then sometimes it's just, you know, there's plenty of girls who are proud in their, in their careers, and they deserve to be proud in their careers, but still go to the dentist without worrying about being accosted.
Yes.
Do you believe, so a lot of the places, is it more, like you mentioned, the adult industry, and I think more of it's coming to Las Vegas. Is it more the strip clubs? Is it more like, what do you feel the mix is? Is it more the people from foster homes, young children? Like, where do you see more of the, what do you see on the rise?
Like in terms of our program participants?
Is it more like the strip clubs that you're going into, or is it more?
No, like, so we're seeing more of folks that are timed out of foster care and group homes, like those 18 to 22 populations. We're also seeing folks that are poverty, like oppression, but just to, blow the whistle on the stigmatization around sex trafficking, it's actually like, there's like incestual, where it's like mom, dad, it's husband trafficking, it's the brothers trafficking. It's not always, a stranger. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times, in order to be trafficked, you have to trust that person and that opportunity that they're selling, or that ability to manipulate or coerce you into doing something that you wouldn't do on your own, right? So it's a trust that's built. So a lot of times it's internal.
Is there a big percentage of that with family? Because in
Oh,
Asia,
it's a big percentage with
Asia
family.
is huge, right? They sell their children at a very young age. Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
the people's different perspectives on like sex trafficking is kind of unique to like what you see in the movies. You know what I'm saying? That's why I always like, oh, everyone's thinking it's like Taken, and then when you brought Asia made me laugh, because it's like, that's another popular one. It's definitely like it's a global issue. You know what I mean? And when we talk about like Cupcake Girls, period, after being around for 12 years and being a part of trying to create that space and that healing, what that looks like is local for all, like a building. Like we're operating out of a space that's about as big as this room right here. You know what I mean? And we've done successful in that space for this period of time, but now we need to really expand our programs. We're soon to be the event capital of the country with the sports teams that we have, with the events and entertainment that we're producing. It's not a hub for trafficking, but it's definitely a hub for sex work.
Yes, yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? And the sex work has also transitioned. You now have OnlyFans and a lot of other. It's not just porn and prostitutes. You know what I'm saying? It's also OnlyFans and, the internet.
It's interesting you say that, because the more people that come to town, the more likely there's more sex, trafficking.
Yeah, the sex industry is going to live. It's the oldest industry here. It's not going anywhere.
How usually they reach you guys for help?
Our number. So we have a phone number that, that's on our website that you can go to, and then you fill out an inquiry form or leave a voicemail there, and then one of our program coordinators will get in touch with you. So that's usually the easiest way. The funny thing is, just in a small period of time, like even when I started working here, it was funny how many people hit me up in my DMs like, oh, I know the Cupcake Girls. Like, they helped me here and they did this. And I'm like, girl, like, it's really, truly been one of those situations where, like, originally, like, I walked in a space from, me being a former sex worker myself. I walked in a space where I was kind of like, no one knew about it. Like, I'm a mom. I don't talk, like, I'm now talking about it on a podcast that's going to live forever on the internet, but that's not something that, like, I talked about, right? But then I'm like, oh my God, like, there's other people that, like, also have a story too, and now they're dope moms and dope entrepreneurs and successful women, and it's like, oh, I don't have to walk in this shame. I don't have to keep this secret under the rug anymore. I've done that. This was before Instagram and all the fancy ways, you know what I mean, fancy technology. And, it's just one of those pieces of things in my quilt, right?
But because of your history, that's why you're able to connect with,
It's definitely why I was
better.
able to connect.
Yeah.
And I've always, on the advocacy space, I've been strong in the advocacy space, a lot on the cannabis side. But when I got the opportunity to work for a nonprofit, I was like, this is actually a huge part of my healing journey, and I didn't even know I needed it. That's the funny thing. I just was doing it from my heart, and I was like, oh, I'm just going to do it from my heart. Who cares about my story, right?
Right.
And then you start talking, and you're like, oh, shit. Like, it feels...
We care about your story. Tell us.
No, I don't mean like that. I don't mean in that context. I just mean in the context where it's like, to actually feel connected to someone is a human desire.
Yes.
I didn't know. I thought that was a me thing. You understand what I mean? So then when you connect with someone and then someone else, and you're like, oh crap, like, and it's just great. You know, I was able to do that in like the DV space, but in this space, because it was so long ago for me, you know what I mean? It's been like 18 years, you know what I mean? So for me, it was just like, wow, like it still feels like I have a community, you know what I mean? And there's not like, no one's going to patronize my business. No one's going to hire me. Like those fears in the back of your head of like, I can't get a job. Like, what's my son going to think? You know what I mean? Like all that stuff is no longer exists.
It was more stigma back then, I believe. You know, now I think everyone is more open now and everything is more acceptable.
Right.
And everyone has a history or a past.
That part.
Gentille, how did you get out of?
How did I get out of it? I mean, like, I don't know. I walked out one day.
For real. That's exactly what.
I mean, I just had enough. Profiting off of people's weaknesses, okay? So I remember looking into the crowd at the strip club. And I wasn't a stripper, I was actually a waitress there. And I remember just thinking, man, all these people in here with all these weaknesses, you know, alcohol and sex and whatever, all that stuff, right? And I just couldn't go to work anymore. I'm like, you know what, I can't come here anymore. It didn't feel good anymore for me. And so I said, you know, I have to quit. I have to go do something else.
What was it so bad? Just even bartending in the place?
No, I was just a waitress.
Was that just as bad, or would you feel?
Yeah, it was for me. Like I just remember looking into the crowd and going, man, I don't want to be here because I see what happens. I see what's going on, and I see all the weaknesses of these people coming into this establishment, right? And me making money off of that weakness by serving them drinks and getting them really drunk so that they can spend more money, you know, all that good stuff.
Superfan Steve was asking about when you mentioned Asia and stuff like that. Why these countries like Thailand and Asia? How does it work? You're saying in Asia, where you're saying that
the sex trafficking it's huge out there, right?
So are they selling their children?
Yes, they're selling their children, and if they have, so the girls are really young. You know, once they reach adulthood, I mean, they'll sell them to the whorehouses, right? Especially if they're poor, and if they don't have any females in their family, they would get the boys into all the hormone replacement stuff and make them, lady boys. A lot.
Is that where it comes from? I never understood where that all came from.
Lady boys?
Yeah.
Yeah, Asia. And they're really small already, most Asian men.
Wait a second, you're saying that if they don't have women, they're saying that they're giving that to them to make them?
Yeah.
I never understood
because then they make them go work for the family. So that boy, that kid, can go become,
So that's why Thailand's the big...
It's huge, yeah.
I never understood that concept. Did you know that?
I didn't know.
If they're poor, if the family's poor, all they have is their children, right? So they would sell them to the whorehouses.
So they can basically make income for the family.
Absolutely.
I never knew that story.
The root cause
I never understood why Thailand was like, on social media you see it a lot more, but I never understood why. So they're actually giving them hormones.
Sure. If
to make them more feminine.
Yep. If that's what they
Have you ever heard that?
I haven't heard that, but I do know that the root causes of trafficking are, colonialism, capitalism, patriotism, racism. So when you talk about very, very poor places like Thailand and some of these Asian countries that she's referring to, like I've been to China and it's like some places that I went were super poor. Yeah. And even culturally, like I read this book called Memoirs of a Geisha and how they groom women for like a dowry to sell, for their daughters, like that. Like, it's just like a lot, you know what I'm saying?
But they glamorize the geisha thing,
yeah,
though,
they glamorize it, but it's the war that put them in that, you know what I mean? We were over there and it was a war, right? Those soldiers, wanted a service. It's just crazy. Like when you go into the history and learn globally, there's a lot of other stuff that happens globally that, we kind of, being an American, right, that's a privilege, right? But even, being an American and living in oppressed parts or, being in a disenfranchised community, then you're also a part of the vulnerable population.
Right. It's smaller here, obviously, compared to most of Asia, because most of Asia is poor. So.
What? So tell us about the project that you're basically working on specifically. Explain that, like Local for All.
Yeah, so Local for All is exactly what it is. It's local for all. It's a holistic resource center and an event space that we'll be able to curate and expand on our programs that we're already doing in the event space. We'll be able to hold workshops and trainings and just a lot of different events that would be able to build and edify and create spaces to create self-determination and self-empowerment, as well as help people continue their education and become employable and feel like, hey, I have worked, but I don't have this long job track record, right? How do I start that, right? As well as a place to seek healing from the traumas or the abuses or offenses that you have experienced in your line of work. So what that looks like is really a holistic wellness studio where we'll be able to do a lot of the things that we do already, but in a much bigger way. You know what I mean? And we won't have to be hustling around the city trying to barter with establishments. We'll have our own building where we can have dedicated space, where we can, heal people and help people find self-determination and self-respect, as well as, expand our program so that we can just beef up the organization and be able to help a lot more people. With this new HUD grant that we have, we'd be able to house a lot more people with a lot of the community organizations that we work with, like, Shade Tree, Safe House, Dress for Success, Signs of Hope, Olive Crest, like the Center. We'd be able to do a lot of work and help a lot of people. And the building is downtown, so we did have an angel investor get the building for us. So now we're just really raising money and building this entire campaign around being able to, bring this building to fruition and get the construction going.
So the money are coming from donations, from funds,
Yeah, it's donations. I'm also applying to grants. So I've applied to several city and county grants for just community redevelopment projects, because there is money for that. We are in a hub zone. We definitely are in a opportunity zone for community redevelopment. We're part of that whole downtown arts district project. So I applied for some of those assistance programs, but that's they're like 50,000, 100,000.
Yeah.
We kind of we need to raise a lot more than that. So we do peer-to-peer, and I have communicated with some foundations that help with organizations with this.
How is the government looking at this whole thing? Do you having help from them? Do they?
Well, that's what the grants are for.
Yeah, that's what the grants are for.
It's from the government.
Yeah. So right now we have
local government.
Right now we have Senator Hortzford's support. We applied for a grant. We're in the second string, so that's really a big kudos, because he was able. We applied for a community appropriation grant, and we were selected along with 15 other projects. And then now they go to Congress, and then they vote on them in Congress to find out if we'd be able to get the funding for the building. But so that's really exciting. You definitely, trying to create momentum around that. But it's really truly peer-to-peer. We do a lot of peer-to-peer fundraising and a lot of individual gifts and private institutions. It's not the federal grant. The first grant we ever got was this year, and it's not even. We can't even use it this year. It's this year for 2024. That HUD grant. We never were federally funded before that. We there's a lot of intricacies to nonprofits and business. It's very similar to having a business in terms of audits and being ready and having books in order, and a lot of internal practices and procedures that have to be upheld to even qualify. And that's that's really in terms of smaller organizations. The knowledge that I'm learning of just, how that operates is now I understand why a lot of the nonprofits that I started and was boards a part of, why we never got any money, because there was a lack of organization on so many, different levels. So this is a whole nother world in terms of fundraising and, building out capital campaign.
Did you guys buy the building or was it rented?
No, so we had an angel investor acquire the building for us. So he's not charging us rent or anything, but we have to buy the building back. We don't have right now. He's been very generous in terms of because of COVID, the COVID really slowed our project down. We were out the gates running in 2017, 2018, building, raised $300,000, got a bunch of stuff done, got the demo, and then COVID. Last 3 years, the project has really been flat and stale due to COVID, due to leadership changes, due to all of that came out of the pandemic. So with Amy Merrill and this new fresh leadership, it's really re-energized the project, because she's brought me on to be a dedicated person to the project. We can't build a holistic resource center and then let down our program participants. We can't build a holistic resource center and not be able to service. We service 36 states. You know what I mean? This state is the one of the tourist capitals. So when you talk about people coming in and wanting to get home, we end up with a lot of clients in a lot of states. You know what I mean? So what that looks like right now is really just me focusing on local for all, and Amy being able to focus on the expansion of the Cupcake Girls, and then really just getting awareness and donors to really support, and county officials, dignitaries, and all that. We love all their support on this building, because it's going to be necessary, and it's very innovative. No one in the country is doing this, and there's a lot of human trafficking organizations in the country. So this is Vegas likes to be the first. So I really hope that they do come aboard and support, and not only with their endorsement, but with some dollars.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It sounds like a full-time job. I mean,
This is my full-time job.
So do you
By the way, this is my full-time job.
So, I mean, for nonprofit, I mean, what kind of salary do you guys get, if I may ask? Because I don't know too much about it, but I know there's a lot of nonprofit companies.
Yeah, so we don't take big salaries. I think everything in the nonprofit world, I'm not paid a huge salary, you know what I mean? But I know, I feel like I'm paid a livable wage, and that's what I haven't been paid before in this space. So that's the cool part about it. It's I don't have to struggle and be passionate. I get to be passionate and do my job without feeling like I really love this thing, and I really went through this thing, and I really want to help a lot of people, but I can't pay my rent. I can't put food on my son's table. I can't, have him join karate. He just joined karate. That's his favorite thing in the world right now. So it makes me feel good. And then Amy, I think,
So it's
all
worth
that.
it.
It's worth it.
Yeah, okay, good,
We have, our organization is run, even though we're doing it this year our budget this year is about $1 million. Amy, our operating expenses are 15% of the organization. You know what I'm saying? And she could be taking a way bigger salary. And she's good for calling out folks who do that. Because there are really you Google some of these executive directors' salaries and they're massive. You know what I mean? And then you're how much of the money is really going to help the people?
Exactly.
But, we're very transparent in our organization. So you can go to our gratitude report, which is you can find on our website, and go to our gratitude report, and a lot of this information is disclosed.
Awesome.
How big is the organization? How many people you have?
Just 13.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so
13. And there's some of us are in Southwest Washington, Oregon. We just had a company retreat where they came in here. So yeah, we're pretty lean and mean. So we're not, it's not going to be a whole bunch of offices. It really is going to be a place where we can bring local businesses and local organizations together, because we don't want to be everything to everyone. We really want to provide a center where everybody comes together to help everyone. Dress for Success already does what they do well. Can you help us dress these individuals who are trying to get jobs? Signs of Hope does what they do well. Hey, can you come in here and help us with these resources? So on and so forth. People are already doing great things. We just need it more centralized, more collaborative, more inclusive, and more intentional, so that we can get things done. You know what I mean? When we're all working and trying to be our own silo and our own island and trying to do not everything for everyone, you know what I mean? Then we're really not being able to be effective in change. Effective change happens when we create spaces where people can be collaborative, innovative, come together and do this work together, right? Because feeding people is a huge portion of it. Food scarcity is a huge portion of it. Housing is a huge, you know what I mean? But just because you put in the mission statement, we're trying to eradicate sex trafficking, we can't even go after a food grant. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So we got to bring everybody together, because we still want to be able to feed people if they need food, right?
Is that the whole purpose of the local for all? Is that bringing in that subsector so that you can bring in funds to help different ways? So you're helping different. It's not just the sex trafficking by bringing on the local for all. It's kind of like a subset, right? Yeah. Of the actual.
It's like a social impact hub of organizations and businesses.
So both will be in the same place?
Well, both will be in the same place, yes.
That's great.
So how long has Local for All been? It just recently got started, right?
No, so it got started in 2017. Okay. The building, we didn't get the building until 2018. And then COVID happened, and we haven't done anything besides demo. And recently, since I've come on, we've done more demo, because when you talk about houseless individuals and you brought up Shine a Light, we were actually working with Shine a Light and the More Outreach campaign to try to get a couple folks that were living on our property new housing, right? They've been living in this vacant building for a long time, so we didn't just want to kick them out. So we've been trying to pair them with resources, but that stuff is hard. When someone's been somewhere for sleeping for 10, 15 years, how are you supposed to tell them that this is not their home? Oh, wow. You know what I mean? When they're already on the streets having mental health issues and all kinds of hosts of other things, that's not that part of my job is painful. That keeps me up at night, because I'm like, I'm cool with you staying there, but my neighbors aren't. They're threatening to sue me or sue the organization, not me as an individual, but they're threatening all kinds of threats, because that type of, that thing causes just nefarious activities that ends up being vandalism and things happening to their building that they, as a business owner, don't can't have. So we could just put the center there and help people. Then they'll be happy, we'll be happy, the community will be happy. You know, we'll be doing a
Quick
good
question.
thing.
We had the website up running.
Yeah.
Maybe we can click on that video if there's sound as well. I didn't know this. So this is the location was at Charleston Main Street?
Yeah.
You know, I've always passed by it, but I was clueless what takes place there.
Yeah, nothing takes place there yet. We're
That also, how long ago has that been?
yeah, so that's the empty building right
Remember
there.
2018?
So, yeah.
And then
So
COVID?
you've had it that long, but nothing's
Yeah.
someplace?
No, so we've done the demo to the front stairs, the demo to the back building. We've cleaned it all out and gutted it. It's shovel ready. You know, we have plans, so those are the plans. So yeah, there's been
You know what's interesting about that spot? I know the restaurant that's next door, but I know it always says that you can't park in front.
You
There's
can't.
always like a sign there, but I was always like clueless, like why, like what's the problem? Because that restaurant right there, people think you could park there, right?
Yeah, you can't park there.
it
No,
always says you can
people
get towed.
always come
They
real
tow.
quick and park. Like right now, like we don't. You know, we're a very
I never
chill
understood
group
what
of
was going
people.
on there.
We're not like calling the cops and trying to get
Got it.
people's car towed, especially when nothing's happening there right now.
Yes, indeed.
But we just don't. Yeah, we don't promote parking or anything.
So
like
that person that owned, they purchased the building specifically for you guys.
Yeah,
It isn't a good spot.
it's in a great spot.
I mean, it's very centrally located.
Yeah.
Especially with the transit, with the new things going on downtown Main Street,
It's in
Commerce
a
Street, and stuff
it's
like
in a
that.
great spot.
Yeah.
I always know it's funny. I was interested that spiral case that goes up.
I
What
had
is
to,
it?
those are the stairs we had to demo.
Oh, you demoed that too?
We had to. I mean, eventually we'll have more stairs because the rooftop will be utilized in the future. Right now, we just need to get the building open, and then the vision is endless in terms of how many community events and cool things that we could do at the space. I mean, essentially, people will be able to rent the space out for a nominal fee. That's how we're going to be able to fund our programs in the future. You know, so
That's good.
the community space, some hours will be rented out. We just have to make sure 51% of our business is through donations and community endeavors. And then the other 49% will have a cake shop, a cupcake shop, and
Okay.
some cool stuff going on.
Cool.
And yeah, so
Is there any major sponsors that you want to do a shout out that you know of that normally helps you guys in general? I know you're right next to any law firms, any people help you down there at all? Because I know there's a lot of different new businesses, the law firms next door, but no one really.
So right now, I feel
Those
like
cheap
this.
lawyers.
You definitely put me on the spot right here
kidding.
because
I'm
they
just curious
they
if you knew.
have been people that the previous board and previous donors. I always want to give them a shout out because the project has raised $300,000 and
It's amazing. It's a lot of money.
and it was peer to peer. So hosts of people donated. So shout out to all of those individuals that donate. I can't highlight anybody specifically, but forgive me. In terms of like right now, I am working with some really great community organizations that are helping me meet more donors and do more fundraising events. Every first Friday, we're outside doing cool stuff, just trying to bring awareness around it. And we're going to paint the front really soon with a pretty mural, and that'll be in the press. So we're just trying to get eyes around it, trying to get awareness around it, let people know like how their help is really helping individuals. You know, you're really helping folks because we're still doing our free store every first Friday where we're open to the community from 12 to 2 where you can come to our free store and get like harm reduction kits, feminine hygiene kits, snacks, and so forth, so on. We do a community cares event at our community partners establishment, the Center on Human Trafficking Awareness. We do several community events. We just had a prom at downtown Ferguson's, so that was to
yeah.
benefit the Cupcake Girls. Yeah, so we're outside. We are outside in the community doing our best to bring awareness, not only for individuals who need us, but to folks who are interested in aligning themselves with anti-sex trafficking organization that wants to help, wants to help people and really work with local organizations, and get that done.
Universal Motor Cars.
Yeah,
Donation, baby.
of course.
That would be awesome.
So we have an app, basically the problemsolver.vegas. We add different resources for people. I don't think we have anything specifically
You
like
don't.
that.
I looked at it
Oh,
when
you
I was
looked
in the
at it,
car.
But we can add, like, we had Shine Light and so on, so we could add different things. I'm not sure if we could pull up the problemsolver.vegas and we could look at it.
Yeah.
Because it's been a little bit that I've looked at it myself, but there's different resources that we try to have. So normally when I talk to a lot of different people call them different problems. I send them the app. I ask them to add it to their home screen and they can fill it out like whatever problem that they have. I don't think we have, I can't imagine someone like clicking like sex trafficking, through the problem zone. But
You can still add
Steve movie.
Cupcake Girls as a resource. And I think maybe the only fear that I would say is because there's a bunch of ex-law enforcement here and, private investigator, like people, naturally, because there's been so much stigma around sex trafficking, even how the police handle sex trafficking survivors and the criminality and the policy around how, sex trafficking is handled in our state. Like there is a fear with talking to police.
You mentioned, because on there it said investigations.
Yeah.
It's interesting there because we started adding that because people were asking for like missing persons and stuff like that. So there's a new one of investigations where people were saying, hey, we want to hire someone to find somebody. So there's different things that are on there, but there's different resources. And if you click on problems on the top, there's a problem button there. You can click on that one. Then people can put in their problem. Then when we get it, we just send it to different people. So you click like, what's your problem? You can fill it out.
Superfan Steve says you should put the problem solver in the back of the airport in the bathrooms.
Next to the phone number of
exactly.
Yeah.
At least it's a better number. Our number is actually 702-999-1111. That'd be a lot easier than like 1-800-476, human trafficking.
5432.
Then I always wonder, like, if you call the number, where do I go? Like,
Right.
Actually, I
you
actually
should
want
try
to
to
call them just to see
call
what
it.
happens.
No, I never tried to call,
Yeah.
but I'm like, so I'm in the bathroom and I'm
Yeah.
being trafficked and my trafficker's outside and I'm trying
And I
to
don't
picture
have a
that whole
phone.
scenario. I don't have a phone. Like, what is the protocol? Like, I call you and then does someone answer and say, I'm going to come to the bathroom right now, and
Right.
he's standing. Like, what is that
I
scenario?
think we should try it out. I mean, I've been tempted to call that number every time I go to the
what's
bathroom,
I
right?
never really thought about it until like today. How like there's no phones anymore. Like you can't
Yeah.
like I want to make a phone,
Yeah.
and then if I'm basically trying to control you, I'm not going to give you a cell phone.
You're
but
not.
you
but
can use
also, like
There should be a button, like a green button.
they would follow
Or
them
something,
into the
you know?
bathroom as well. I would assume if there's
To
sex
watch them.
trafficking. Yeah. They'll have a female, I'm sure, that will walk you into the bathroom and wait.
I mean, some people would say like even those signs are like a little bit of prevention, but I mean things still happen. But there should be like a button or something to press, right? That you know at that stall, right? Stall A1, in this bathroom or something like that.
Everyone's gonna be pressing that button just for the heck of
I mean,
it.
what something
Prevention
something's
is
more
really
going to be done, right?
education. Prevention is education.
Victor, what do you think? What's your creative idea? How
I
do we-
think probably they should have somebody in the airport, and they should have a button. So it's an emergency. You just push the button, and somebody's gonna come right there in a few minutes. Because if you wait like 15, 20 minutes, for sure those people will not be there anymore.
Yeah, I don't think it sounds a
they'll-
little. You think it's crazy to have a button in every stall? I mean, it would be.
It
Look, first of
definitely
all, if
sounds
someone
odd,
pressed it,
but
it could be illegal. They could make it a local ordinance where basically if you press the button, like, and it's for a joke, just like the fire alarm or something like that, they could make a local ordinance by pressing. I mean, what else would you do? Like,
Seniors would have use of it if they fell in the bathroom.
yeah, I mean, it could just be an alarm, or
Yeah, like
it could be a silent alarm. It could be, I guess. I mean, something should be done. I mean, like
Yeah, that
now
would
that I
be
think about it,
better.
like, why would you have signs there and there's no payphones anymore?
It's like a cover button that
covered, so yeah.
like a kid cannot push the button,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you break the cover and
I mean, worst case scenario, so you got a security guard or a police officer that has to go actually do their job and go walk to the bathroom to check what's going on. It's not like every day everyone's gonna be pressing this button. It's gotta be a rare situation, but I do think something more should be done, which I think is a good point.
Maybe they just have it in the bathrooms to comply with some state law or
That
something.
part, that's really what it is.
Yeah.
It was a piece of legislation that
Yeah.
a bunch of people wrote without actually impacted individuals. Then they created without impacted individuals. And they
Yeah.
put it all over the bathrooms and they somehow sleep at night saying, I
They
did a
did
good
some-
thing. I did a really good
Well, I
thing.
guess back in the
helped."
day when there was payphones, maybe a different scenario.
Yeah,
And
but
now
if there was a payphone, they wouldn't be in the bathroom anyways. They would still go have.
No, but maybe the phone
number
number would be that they know what number to call. Some people may not know, or maybe I'm not even sure if it was different languages and stuff like that. But I definitely think more needs to be done in the airport. And the truth of the matter is, if human trafficking is such a big deal, honestly, when I just came back from New York City, and you walk through to get to the terminal, I mean, there's no police watching. Like, it's not like so many doors, right? The two terminals. Someone should be watching, just like if you're at customs, just for even human trafficking. Even if you had one cop watching, two sets of major doors to come out, just to profile. We're not talking about racial profiling.
And who's going to pay
criminal
for,
profiling?
Who's going to pay them?
It should come from the
Tax-
police or security.
Taxpayers.
Yeah, well, no matter what, the
that's
money
where
we're
it comes
spending
from.
with the nonprofits and all the organizations and helping people on the
Yeah.
back end. If we just had somebody, it's for security purposes
But that's
anyway.
donation.
It's the same thing with the luggage, right? Like how anyone can take a piece of luggage and just walk out of the airport. There's no one watching anymore.
we're looking
The
at
first-
you go with a kid to travel. They don't ask no documentations for the kid. You can take anybody's kid and tell me that I'm your dad or
Yeah.
I'm your mom.
Right.
The kid
That's
says,
another
yeah, my
point,
mom,
too.
my dad. That's it. I went with my friend and her daughter.
Yeah.
So we crossed. They ask, "Oh, who's here?" She say, "My mom," and that's it.
We have to police
That's a good point.
ourselves, honestly. Like, I don't think there's too many people out there that really cares because everyone has their own lives and own issues that they deal with.
I think it's a very good point. I mean, even when I take my kids, you don't know who.
Education.
But we always say education, but it needs to be a little bit
No,
more
but
of law
educating
enforcement involved.
law enforcement. That's who needs the
Yeah.
education.
Yeah.
Law enforcement
Well,
needs the
forget
education.
the
on how
education.
to
You need law
identify.
enforcement there. I went to the airport. It was 10:30 at night. There was not one cop in that area whatsoever. You have this $1 billion airport, and there's not one cop watching the doors or any of the luggage that's there.
I don't know about the luggage, but they.
No, I'm just saying, no one is watching.
no
I
one's
mean, there's
watching
no
anything.
no one's watching
Yeah.
anything. So
Yeah.
if it's human trafficking, it's such a big deal in the state. What Oh, this is the question I had for you. It's a very good question. A criminal defense attorney that was on this show brought this up.
Mm-hmm.
For Vegas, or at least for this state, solicitation is just a misdemeanor, and then if you do it again, it's still a misdemeanor. There's no enhancement, right? Going a misdemeanor, gross misdemeanor, felony. So what they were saying is that we're allowing, people to continuously commit the crime, and it's just a fine. Where basically, if you like DUI, if it's the first 2 DUIs are misdemeanors, but the third one jumps up to a felony. So the goal is to prevent people from, doing a DUI and killing somebody. But why is it that you can keep doing prostitution or soliciting, and it's always a misdemeanor with no enhancement? It doesn't go up.
Because it's demand and supply.
Not only
If
that,
there's a
but
demand for it, like all
but
the
the truth is
guys
you
coming
would-
over here going,
No, but
I
that-
want a
You would never
hooker.
be able to help sex trafficking if that's the case, because if people are being trafficked and you constantly are criminalizing them, you're constantly promoting more harm. Like, criminalization is not the answer to being able to help. If you're getting arrested for prostitution or trespassing over and over and over again from the same situation, then that person needs an intervention. Social services or some type of resources should be put in, but there's never that.
More should be done instead of more should be done in regards to just a fine.
Yeah, but more is done to this. They don't just get a fine. Some girls
No,
go to
it's a
jail.
fine in class.
Some girls go to jail 6 months, 9 months.
Second offense or third offense or something like that?
Yes,
Okay.
after a while, if you're constantly going to court for it, you're not just getting a ticket and coming out. You're spending 9 months, 12 months in jail. Like, it's not, you know what I mean? Like, we don't have a decrim state, like a policy.
Right,
you know what I
right.
mean? Yeah, it's illegal, and it's not just a misdemeanor.
And then when they come back out, they'll just go back right into what they know.
And then
'Cause
you
there's
don't, and then
nothing
we don't
else.
know what other wraparound. It's like with the DUI, right? You get DUI for a controlled substance, but what if someone gets prostitution with the wrong cop? She might have possession. She might have, I don't know, disorderly. I don't really know what all the charges could be, but it's usually not one charge.
Right.
Like, cops don't want to spend time on one charge. They try to find a whole bunch of charges to put on that paper.
Like I said, I can't even say it correctly, but the person was on the show. I wanted to see if she was around.
Yeah.
But I just think it's interesting because I think more should be done. And normally this particular person was an attorney at the time. We're helping the people where they were just paying the fine of the class and so on. But I just think more should be done because I think they just go back to the strip and they continuously do the same type of crime where we really need to help them and support them instead of just...
Definitely help support, but also training security to what to look for. Training. The police don't know what to look for. You know what I mean? They're judging. They're definitely judging. Like, there's such a stigmatism around Black women in Hohen and in Las Vegas. It's just ridiculous. Like, if I go to a casino with a white man, the way they treat me and ID me when it's like, dude, he's either a donor or he's a friend. I also have a real estate investment company, so I'm with investors all the time. But the way I'm treated in a casino, it's disgusting that I hate it.
How do you feel? Like what?
I feel awful. Like, I can't. I had a situation recently where I had a bunch of friends in town, and I do real estate investors. They're like, "Oh, come to the casino. I know you're raising money. There's a bunch of people here. Let's have a good time." And they're just introducing me to people. But like, I got ID'd by the pit boss. I got ID'd by the waitress. Then the other pit boss that shift change. He said to the last pit boss that he'd ID me, and then he comes back to me and goes, "Well, I'm just gonna ID you one more time."
Really? Oh.
Because I'm with a white man?
Yeah. And that ID.
And I'm literally drinking a cocktail?
Yeah.
And I look good doing it?
Dude, they think everyone's a hooker here in Vegas.
It's
honestly.
really, really bad.
Yeah.
And the guy literally started being like, "Have you been here before? Do they know you?" For me, trying to build relationships, and I'm in fundraising and donor relations, it's like, that's embarrassing and it's humiliating and it's dehumanizing. When I gave you my ID at the door and I gave you my ID when I sat down and ordered my drink, which was on every camera you have not seen me approach anybody else. I went to one place, I sat there, I've been embraced by everyone knew me from the conference.
Yeah.
Why was I treated that way?
Wow.
And he called him out. He was like, they think you're a hooker.
Yeah.
The guy called him out. And I'm like, this
I
is
think-
ridiculous.
I mean,
assumption.
sad to say, I feel like people that if you're in Vegas, you're a good looking woman and you're in like a bar and you're not with somebody. I'm saying not with somebody. Here you were with somebody, right?
Yeah.
That they're thinking that you're like a stripper or a prostitute.
But I was with someone.
But it is very common in the lobby bars. That is where it's a known location where prostitution and
But
solicitation
why
does
do
take
I have
place.
to think I'm a resident here and I pay taxes and I'm a mom and I live here? Like I already showed you in Nevada. Why do something? Like why?
Right.
You know what I mean? Why? What was the real purpose? The
Well, they're
profile
actually
was
trying to prevention profiling.
It was
They're
profiling.
profiling,
They
yeah.
weren't doing anything for prevention. If they were worried about my safety, prevention was never executed there. They were profiling me and they were just, I don't know, judging, whatever we want to call it, but that was discriminatory.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what happened that day.
They were definitely running your name and
Yeah,
information.
and they couldn't believe she didn't even have a record. Oh my gosh! Wait, let me check every system in the world. Let me call around to my friends' casinos and see if they know her. Nope, you don't know me. But I am with some very wealthy individuals, so you want to know me.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like
It's
come on.
surveillance. They do that all the time. Yeah.
It's like, you guys-
Surveillance is always following Gentille.
Always.
That's just
Especially the Tropicana.
got me all hot. You guys got
always
me all
like
hot.
watch
And
Surveillance
all
is
over again.
everywhere, honey, but they know who I am now. So yeah, I only got ID'd one time.
How many
like,
times did you get
years ago?
So Gentille's a very attractive woman. She's by herself a lot of times at the Tropicana.
lot.
I know
Not just
security,
Tropicana, dude.
surveillance.
The trouble.
Whatever, dude.
That's you're like VIP over there.
I go in I support my host over there, so we go there a lot to look, watch the shows.
Okay,
Yeah.
I love all the shit.
Yeah,
You get-
and it's like off the strip almost. It's
Right.
at the end of the strip. I don't want to go into the strip a lot.
Do you get stopped?
No, dude, I don't get stopped.
Security's not like
Yeah,
on top
I
of you?
haven't been a pimp for many, many years.
I know
but-
video
But
surveillance
when
is
I
very big over there.
when I was, yeah, they ID'd me one time.
One time?
Yeah, that's it.
Like, oh, she's okay.
Yeah.
So I know we're going to wrap up in a quick minute or two. Question for you in regards to what can we do more to support you? What can we do from the Problem Solver Show? The show basically is a weekly basis. There's different pieces of micro content. This thing will get chopped up a little bit as well, and we'll put it out there.
Give
so
her
people
some
know.
money, honey.
Besides money in general, which we're going to help you basically with fundraising in different ways, and we'll add you over to the Vegas, and we'll do some different things. What more can we do to help and support you guys with your nonprofit mission?
Really connect me with folks. Right now, we're trying to really get connected with individuals who do have high-level positions at the casino, like security and things. Amy's doing great sex trafficking awareness and human trafficking awareness. We actually had some really awesome conversations with some of the casinos already, but we're still looking for more to participate so that they can understand how to identify sex trafficking and also use us as a resource instead of criminalizing all the time. Use this as a resource. You don't know what you don't know, right? So stop profiling and assuming what you do know or you think you know. You could actually be saving someone's life. So just use us as that resource. So any referrals in that context to where we're able to, do more of the education and the outreach, and then it will all lead us to the dollars. The dollars are going to come because we've been down here doing some really great work, and being able to connect us with the right individual that can help us do this work and help us with our mission to eradicate sex trafficking and help individuals in the adult entertainment industry find resources, relationships, and respect. Just send them our way.
Absolutely. We'll
You
talk
guys
sweat.
do those Facebook for fundraising?
We don't fundraise on Facebook, so we have Instagram, and there's a link tree there, and it goes to our website. But I'm going to be trying all the different things. So
Yeah,
I had a
you should try
meeting today.
Facebook.
Yeah, I had a
something
meeting today, and I'm going to be learning how to do all kinds of cool things. Like I learned about text to donate today and different ways that I can really spread the campaign. I just really wanted to spend time and make sure that I was using the dollars the right way. You know what I mean? Every dollar counts when you're in a nonprofit organization, and we're very intentional about how we spend our dollars because we really want to use, as much of our resources that we can and leverage as much of the community as we can before we start spending a whole bunch of money. But it's going to be worth it to have this center. So I am going to be doing a social media capital campaign as well.
You know what we're going to do? We'll work together. Gentille, works with real estate. Victor's with Universal Motor Cars. Myself with the Problem Solver. I like setting up different events. Maybe we should do an event like a fundraiser. We'll come up with a creative idea, at least that it's like, people can come together with drinks or food. And we can
like
figure
that.
something downtown. Maybe I always go back to Art House on 3rd Street because it's kind of a cool setting downtown. A lot of people don't even go there, but maybe we'll
Is
set
that
something
the theater
up.
or the
That's the theater
bar?
restaurant there.
Okay, yeah.
The theater
I
restaurant
haven't
bar.
been there yet, but I definitely want to go.
Well, let's.
When is your space going to be ready? The
So
office?
we're looking about 12 to 18 months in terms of
that
local
long.
for all. We have an office though, so we can by all means like meet up at our office.
Yeah.
But I'm always doing a lot of things like outside in the community. So by all means, like I'm trying to work with the space. I don't know if you guys have heard. They do this really cool thing at the space.
The space,
Yeah, you've heard of this
Monday,
Monday Dark.
Monday Dark, yeah.
Yeah,
I've
so
gone
I've
to
been,
many.
oh,
Yes.
yeah, so those type of connections and research, because they do a lot with, those things are helpful because
Yes.
they'll help us like put on a great event and
Yeah.
fundraise and stuff
So
like
what they
that.
do? I never. I don't think I've
10,000.
heard.
It's Monday's Dark is what every other week, every other Monday, and they raise money for local
Nonprofits.
I didn't know
and
that.
they give them like $10,000.
Yeah.
That same night.
Yeah, different
Okay.
in different organizations.
Let's
so
wo-
I think Mark Chinook, he's like the
Mark, yeah.
Vegas Golden Knights guy too. Like
Yes.
these different people, you know.
He's the MC. He's the owner of the space, Mark Chinook.
I've been to this place one time, but I didn't know about the Mondays. But we'll get together. We'll work together in general, and then again, if anyone has any specific problem, if anyone knows anybody that's human trafficking, they can contact you. The organization is a specific number.
Yeah, so if you guys, if anyone's in need of services, the best place to go is the Cupcake Girls website. We also have the Cupcake Girls Instagram, the Cupcake Girls Facebook. So the best place to go is to the Cupcake Girls if you're actually in need of services. A Local for All website is really like, donor engagement in terms of what's going on with the extension of our programs, which are going to be housed in our building. But you could by all means volunteer with us. Like you suggested, create fundraising campaigns with us, put on events with us. We want to be outside in the community, and then introduce us to other cool, dope nonprofits that are in here doing the work, because we don't want to be an island. We don't want to be a silo in this work. We want to collaborate and be intentional about, hey, you're doing this, we're doing this. We only work with adults too, you know what I mean? So there's this whole teen trafficking sector too, you know what I mean? So being able to partner and have those relationships so that we can, match the 17-year-olds to the right place versus they can come to us at 18. You know what I'm saying? All those different connections need to be had. We have a lot of them, but we don't pretend to know everybody. I know Amy knows a lot of people, but we could always, get some more resources.
We'll work together. Maybe we can get you some publicity. The last thing I want to say is before we close up today, we actually are connected with some different production companies in other states that do reality shows and so on. Tonight, actually, if you watch ABC 2020, we're going to be on the whole situation about Lake Mead. It's called The Secrets of Lake Mead, which is tonight.
Yeah, are you on there? Because I
Yeah.
didn't see you in the.
I know, I was very upset.
in
It was
the
not in the
clip.
preview.
Yeah,
So
in
if you
the
get a chance
preview
tonight,
reel.
technically it's 10 o'clock at night,
Okay.
ABC 2020. So it's about
Okay.
the secrets of Lake Mead, which we're on at the studio. Sticky Paw Studios on it. And myself, Danny Miner, who's the crime solver, he's on it as well.
Not me.
Gentille is not on there. Which
Nope.
They weren't looking for a millionaire or a used contractor, which is your specialty.
Wait, so the
You couldn't
secrets
get
of
me
Lake
on.
Mead, like what? That sounds interesting.
Watch it
With all
tonight.
the dead bodies.
That's what I was
Yeah,
like. Are there
yeah,
dead?
that's
Because
what it's about.
there's all kinds of secrets. When we just really quick story, we did some PCE remediation, and they found 2 big tanks under our building, and we had to get them removed. And I was like, how old? These tanks were probably like from the 40s, and we're like, what was? in
Don't
these
open
tanks?
it.
Nobody knew what was. They were empty already, but nobody knew what was
good.
in these tanks. We were kind of nervous, and I was like, did you guys find anything? But knowing that we live in a mob city, it's
Yeah.
You
just
never know.
feeling like you never know.
Yeah.
Well, Asia, thanks so much for coming on the show again. Asia with Local for All and Cupcake Girls. Really appreciate your time. We'll
Thank you
get
for
the message
having
out.
me.
We'll help you as well.
Yeah.
Gentille, thanks so much, as usual, as co-hosting, sharing your knowledge and experience about the Asian
course.
culture and Thailand.
Of
and,
course, darling.
and
My
Cambodia.
pleasure.
We appreciate that. Victor of Universal Motor Cars, co-hosting today, first time.
Wait,
Thank
I
you
feel like he didn't say much. Do we have to? Like, you need to talk more.
Well, he
This
did
is his
it.
first time.
First
Like the
time.
first time you gotta jump in. It's like
Okay,
you gotta
I
take
did
some
all the
time.
talking.
Gotta get used to.
Well, the
Okay.
goal really is for you to share with and you shared so much information, which is great.
I know I
And
did.
the key is we can take this and share this with so many people and ask people to fundraise. So this is Victor's first time. He's going to be taking lead next time, and he's going to take over the whole show.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. He's been
People-
divergenized.
You know, it's funny. I actually, it's when I first.
I like the accent too.
What is it? He paid for that too.
From Moldova.
Moldova?
Moldova.
What is
Eastern
what-
Europe.
Oh, Eastern Europe. Okay.
It's along the Hudson.
Oh, okay.
It's the other side of the.
But thanks so much, everybody, especially Victor, Gentille. Thanks so much, Asia. As the Problem Solver, we'll see you guys every single week on Thursday, 6 p.m. live, talking about problems, getting some great information like Asia shared with us. We want to help support the Cupcake Girls, and anything we do to support them, we're here. Again, if you have a problem, you need help solving, it's 702-999-1111, theproblemsolver.vegas. Be careful, be safe. We'll see you next week.
Good job.